Before we dive in, drop a comment and let us know where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. If you enjoy true crime stories like this, be sure to like the video, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and share it with someone who'd love it too. The sirens cut through the cold November air like a warning. Neighbors stepped out of their quiet suburban homes onto Maple Ridge Lane, a peaceful street where people rarely raised their voices, let alone imagine seeing police tape stretch across a front lawn. But that morning, just after 6:14 a.m., officers were racing toward the house at 42 Maple Ridge, a beige, split-level home with trimmed hedges, a wind chime dangling near the porch, and a reputation for being one of the safest places on the block. Nothing about that house suggested what investigators would uncover inside. Officer Daniel Mercer was the first to arrive. The call he'd received minutes earlier had been vague: possible disturbance. Unknown situation. Caller disconnected. When he stepped out of his patrol car, he noticed the front door was slightly open, swaying as if someone had left in a hurry. There were no signs of forced entry, no shattered windows, no neighbors screaming for help. Just an unsettling quiet that made the hairs on the back of his neck lift. Mercer called out twice. No answer. Inside, the house felt strangely still. A television was on in the living room, displaying the blue glow of a paused movie screen. A mug lay on its side on the coffee table, tea dripping in slow trails toward the floor. The air held the faint scent of cinnamon, but something else hung beneath it, something Mercer couldn't quite identify. He moved deeper inside, carefully announcing every step for body cam clarity. The kitchen was spotless, chairs neatly tucked in, nothing misplaced except an open notebook with a single handwritten line. "If something happens to me, check the basement." Mercer's breath tightened. Just then, backup arrived, including Detective Lauren Hale, a seasoned investigator known for her calm under pressure. She took one look at the note and felt her pulse spike. Houses didn't write notes like that. People did, and usually only when they believed they were in real danger. The team swept the main level first. No sign of a struggle. No overturned furniture. No damage anywhere. It looked like an ordinary home belonging to an ordinary resident. That resident was Margaret Ellison, a 46-year-old accountant who'd lived there for almost a decade. Quiet. Friendly. Paid her taxes on time. No criminal history. Her coworkers described her as steady, soft-spoken, and good at remembering birthdays. And yet she was nowhere to be found. Detective Hale pulled up Margaret's file, trying to understand why a woman with no known enemies would leave behind a cryptic warning. But before she could begin, Officer Mercer called out from down the hall. "Detective, you're going to want to see this." He stood next to a closed basement door, its frame lined with fresh scratches, as if someone had tried to open it but couldn't. The lock itself was new, shiny, and bolted from the outside. Hale frowned. That alone raised questions. Basements were usually locked from the inside, not in a way that kept someone from coming up. Mercer tried the knob. Locked tight. Detective Hale's instincts buzzed. Something was off. Severely off. They called for tools. Within minutes, officers were prying off the lock, the metallic clatter echoing through the hallway. When the latch finally gave way, Mercer exhaled slowly and tugged the door open. A cold draft pushed out, carrying an earthy smell from below. Hale clicked on her flashlight, and the beam sliced through the darkness, revealing steep wooden steps leading into a basement most neighbors didn't even know existed. The house's blueprint, which Mercer pulled up on his tablet, didn't show a basement at all. How could a room not exist on paper? The deeper they went, the colder it became. Not freezing, just unnaturally cool, like a place untouched by sunlight for far too long. The walls were unfinished, the concrete rough and old. Shelves with ordinary items, paint cans, gardening tools, boxes, lined one side. Everything seemed normal. Until Hale noticed something odd in the far corner. A large shelving unit sat slightly off balance, as if someone had moved it recently. The dust patterns on the floor didn't match. Behind the frame, the concrete wall looked subtly cleaner, almost newer, compared to the rest of the basement. "Help me shift this," Hale said. Two officers joined her, sliding the unit aside. As the heavy metal scraped across the floor, a rectangular outline appeared on the wall, perfectly shaped, perfectly smooth. A hidden door. Carefully sealed. Recently installed. Hale felt her breath catch. She pressed her ear to the cold surface. Nothing. No movement. No sounds. Just silence. But the craftsmanship, the secrecy, someone took time to build this. Someone took precautions to keep it hidden. "Get this opened," she ordered. It took several minutes of careful work before the sealed panel finally loosened. Dust fell to the floor. A narrow space opened behind it, pitch black, silent, cramped. Detective Hale raised her flashlight and stepped inside. What she saw made her stop mid-stride. The hidden chamber was small, barely wider than a walk-in closet, but every inch of it had been arranged with disturbing precision. A small desk. A chair. A wall entirely covered with pinned documents, maps, receipts, newspaper clippings, photographs of people Hale didn't recognize. Strings connected one item to another, creating a web of connections that made no immediate sense. In the center of that web was Margaret Ellison's face. Dozens of copies. Circled. Annotated. Who made this? Why? And how had Margaret lived here for years without telling anyone what she was involved in? But the strangest detail wasn't the photos, or the maps, or even the hidden room. It was the folder sitting on the desk. A plain manila folder with a single line written neatly on the front. They found me. Detective Hale opened it, and the first page made her freeze. It was a list of names, people from all over the country. Some crossed out. Some circled. And at the very bottom, written in tight handwriting. If you're reading this, it's already too late. Hale felt a cold weight settle in her chest. This wasn't a simple disappearance. This wasn't an accident. This was something else, something carefully planned, and far bigger than one missing woman. She looked up at the wall of clues, feeling every instinct scream that they had stepped into something dangerous. And when Mercer called out from the stairs, his voice shaking, Hale knew the situation had just changed again. "Detective, you need to come see what's outside on the porch. There's a package. With your name on it." Hale's stomach dropped. The house wasn't just hiding a secret. Someone knew they were there. And someone was watching. Detective Lauren Hale stepped back up the basement stairs with quick, controlled movements, her flashlight still trembling slightly in her hand. The moment she reached the main floor, she saw Officer Mercer standing by the front door, his face pale. The morning sun had barely risen, but the porch was bright enough to reveal something that didn't belong there. A small brown package. Wrapped neatly. Tied with a simple black string. And on the top, Hale's full name written in block letters. She crouched beside it, forcing her breath to stay even. Who delivered this? Mercer shook his head. We didn't see anyone. And the body cam footage shows nothing until just now. The porch camera installed by Margaret? Offline. Neighbor across the street? Asleep. Any obvious footprints? None. Almost like whoever dropped the package knew exactly how to avoid being seen. Hale slipped on gloves and lifted the box. It was light, almost suspiciously light. She opened it carefully, ready for anything. Inside was a single item. A flash drive. Plain. Unmarked. But wrapped in a folded note. She unfolded it slowly. You're looking in the wrong place. Start with him. Beneath the words, a small symbol marked the page, an ink-stamped triangle with a line through it. Mercer glanced over her shoulder. What does that mean? Hale didn't answer immediately. She'd seen that symbol once before, on a briefing folder for an old unsolved case from years back. The case involved an underground network tied to fraud, disappearances, and identity schemes across several states. The case was massive, scattered, impossible to pin to one suspect. They called the network the Line because of that exact mark. But the investigation stalled. Nothing concrete. No arrests. No leaders identified. Most officers assumed the Line was myth more than reality. And yet here it was. On a note addressed to her. She pocketed the flash drive. Let's process the house and get this back to the lab. I want a tech analysis on this drive immediately. Detective, Mercer asked quietly, you think Margaret was mixed up with those people? Hale paused. I think Margaret knew something she wasn't supposed to, she said. And someone didn't want that secret getting out. For the rest of the morning, the team combed through the house. Every corner. Every drawer. Every file. Margaret Ellison lived alone, with no children, no pets, and few visitors. But as they dug deeper, the picture that emerged didn't match the quiet, polite woman neighbors knew. In her bedroom, officers found a locked metal case under the bed. Inside were multiple prepaid phones, unused, unregistered. Another bag contained survival items, flashlights, emergency food, a burner power bank, and a stack of cash estimated around $4,000. A go bag. Ready at any moment. On her kitchen desk was a calendar. Mostly empty except for 3 dates circled in red, no words, no hints, just silent markings. One of those dates was today. Margaret knew something was going to happen. She had prepared for it. But she hadn't escaped it. Hale studied the living room again, more slowly this time. The half-finished tea. The open notebook. The television paused mid-frame. All signs pointed to Margaret leaving suddenly, maybe willingly, maybe not. But nothing suggested she struggled. Whoever came for her knew how to control the situation quietly. At 11:43 a.m., Hale's phone buzzed. Forensic Tech Unit. Detective, we've checked the flash drive. It's safe. No viruses. No traps. Did you open the contents? We did. There's only one file. Video format. I'm on my way. At the tech lab, Hale watched as the technician loaded the video. Static filled the screen at first, grainy, shaky footage, almost like a hidden camera struggling to focus. Then the image stabilized. A room appeared. Plain white walls. A single chair. Low light. And then Margaret Ellison walked into frame. Hale felt a jolt go through her chest. Margaret looked anxious, hands trembling, breathing uneven, eyes darting out of frame as if she heard something in the background. She stepped closer to the camera, leaning in until her face filled the entire screen. "This is for Detective Lauren Hale," she whispered. Hale's heart froze. "I know they're watching me. I know they're coming. I don't know when, but it won't be long. If you found my house, you know I've been keeping track. They call themselves the Line. They're not just one group, they're everywhere. Ordinary people. Neighbors. Co-workers. Strangers. They pass information. They move people. They erase people." Margaret's voice cracked. "I tried to leave. I tried to disappear. But you can't leave once you know too much." Static broke the video for a second. When the picture returned, Margaret was sitting in the chair now, hands clasped tightly. "I didn't choose this. I didn't sign up for anything. I just saw something. And once I did, they decided I was part of it. Detective, you need to understand. They don't care about money. They don't care about power. They care about silence." She leaned in again, eyes sharp with fear. "If anything happens to me, they'll make it look like I vanished by choice. They'll say I ran. But you can't trust anything they leave behind. Nothing. Not the documents. Not the calls. Not the messages." Her breathing sped up. "And detective, there's someone on your team who—" The screen cut out abruptly. Black. Silent. The technician rewound, trying again. Same result. The video ended mid-sentence, like someone had deliberately erased the final moments. Hale felt her stomach twist. Someone on her team? Was that paranoia? Or a warning? The tech turned to her. "We checked metadata. This video was recorded 2 days ago. And detective, the file was uploaded from inside her house." Hale stared at the blank screen. "Meaning Margaret was in that house 2 days ago," she said slowly. "And the hidden room?" the technician asked. "Built recently," Hale replied. "Based on the woodwork and fresh sealant, within the last month." They both fell silent. Someone had been preparing. And whatever they were preparing for, it involved Margaret, the Line, and now possibly Hale herself. Her phone buzzed again. "Mercer. Detective, something happened." Hale's pulse jumped. "What is it?" "It's the hidden room wall. We pulled down more panels. There's another layer behind it." "Another room?" "No," Mercer said, voice dropping. "Not a room. Something else. A kind of message." Hale grabbed her coat. "What kind of message?" Mercer hesitated. "One that has your badge number written on it." Hale stopped walking. Her badge number. Her. The walls were closing in. Someone wanted her involved. Someone wanted her to find these things. Someone was leading her deeper. What did the rest of the message say? Hale asked quietly. Mercer's voice sounded uneasy. It said, "You're next." Hale froze. And for the first time in years, she felt a chill of real fear run through her. The Line wasn't just watching. They had made this personal. Detective Lauren Hale stood in the dim hallway of 42 Maple Ridge, staring at the newly uncovered message on the wall of the hidden chamber. Her badge number, precisely written, followed by 2 words meant to shake her foundation. "You're next." It wasn't scribbled in anger or chaos. It was neat. Controlled. Almost calm. The kind of writing belonging to someone who knew exactly what they were doing. Mercer stood beside her, unsure of what to say. Hale didn't speak either. She simply stared, reading and rereading the words, as if the meaning might change if she tried hard enough. Whoever the Line was, they weren't just watching her. They had planned for her. Expected her. Counted on her showing up. When she finally turned away from the wall, she felt something shift inside her, a sense that none of this was coincidence. Margaret's warning, the flash drive, the package, the missing footage. Someone had staged every step, not to scare her off, but to pull her in. To make sure she couldn't walk away. By evening, the team had transported the evidence to headquarters. The house was sealed. Forensics continued their sweep. But Hale couldn't leave the case alone, not even for a second. She sat in her office with the flash drive on the desk, the note still in her pocket, and Margaret's unfinished sentence echoing in her head. "And detective, there's someone on your team who..." Someone who what? Someone who knew Margaret? Someone involved with the Line? Someone who could sabotage the investigation? Every possibility was dangerous. Her computer chimed. An encrypted email had just appeared in her inbox. No sender ID. No traceable address. No subject line. Her muscles tightened. She clicked. A single sentence appeared. You're following the wrong trail. Look at the names again. Attached was the list found in the Manila folder, the list of crossed out and circled names. But now, every name had a new highlight around it, arranged in a pattern she hadn't noticed before. She zoomed out. The highlighted pattern formed the same symbol from the note. A triangle with a line through it. The line's mark. But the placement of the circled names wasn't random. It created something else too, a faint directional path, like a simple map. Hale traced it with her finger. City by city. State by state. The pattern pointed toward one place. One person. Her former partner, Detective Owen Grant. Hale pulled back from the computer. Grant had left the force 2 years earlier, quietly and without scandal. Said he was exhausted. Said he needed time away. Nobody questioned it. He was good at his job, respected, trusted. He also worked missing person cases for most of his career. Cases that the line might have wanted buried. She grabbed her jacket. If Grant was in danger, she needed to warn him. If he was involved, she needed answers. Either way, he was the next step. Owen Grant lived on the outskirts of town, in a small rental house surrounded by tall pine trees. When Hale pulled into the gravel driveway, she noticed something immediately. His car was there, but every window in the house was dark. She knocked. No answer. She called. Straight to voicemail. She knocked again, louder. Still nothing. Hale tried the doorknob. Unlocked. She stepped inside cautiously. The house was sparse, but tidy. No plates left out, no personal clutter. A quiet life. A retired one. Except for the desk in the corner, papers scattered across it, a whiteboard with names and dates, and a map eerily similar to the one in Margaret's hidden room. But this map had something hers didn't. A photo of Margaret Ellison, pinned at the top with an arrow pointing toward her street. And beneath it, a single phrase. They forced her out. Hale's pulse quickened. Grant had been tracking Margaret. He knew she was in danger. Maybe he had even tried to help her, but if so, where was he now? Before she could search further, she heard a soft creak from the back hallway. She slowly moved toward the sound, hand hovering near her holster. Owen, she called. No answer. When she reached the end of the hall, she saw a door slightly open. Light spilled from inside. She nudged it open gently. The room was small. A study. A single lamp illuminated walls covered in connected documents, names, events, missing persons, old case files. And in the center of it all was a detailed breakdown of the line itself. Whoever Grant had become, he wasn't retired. Not even close. Hale stepped closer, scanning the notes. That's when she saw it. On the desk lay a sealed envelope. Her name written across the front. Her chest tightened as she opened it. Inside was a handwritten letter. Lauren, if you're reading this, I'm already gone. Not by choice. They came for Margaret first. I tried to warn her. I tried to protect her. But I wasn't fast enough. The line isn't an organization, it's a network of people in places you would never expect. It's not about crime. It's about control. About information. About disappearing anyone who threatens them. And they've infiltrated the department. Be careful who you trust. Hale's stomach dropped. They know you're close. They've been using you without you realizing it. Every clue they left in that house was meant for you to find. To pull you deeper. To make sure you couldn't step away. The letter shook in her hands. Leave now, Lauren. Before they decide you know too much. Owen. A floorboard creaked again. There was someone else in the house. Hale spun back into the hallway, but the stranger was already at the front door, slipping into the darkness, leaving only the faint sound of gravel crunching under their feet. Stop! Hale shouted, rushing out into the night. But the figure was already gone, silent, fast, disappearing down the tree line with purpose. Not random. Not careless. They wanted her to see them. To know she was being watched. Behind her, a car engine started. A black sedan. No plates. No headlights. It rolled slowly down the road before turning the corner and vanishing. Hale stood in the cold night air, realizing the truth settling like ice inside her. This wasn't just a missing person case. This wasn't just a conspiracy. They had chosen her. From the beginning. And if Margaret was right? If Owen was right? If the message on the wall was right? Then the line wasn't done. Not with Margaret. Not with Owen. And definitely not with her. Hale looked down at Owen's letter one last time. At the very bottom, scribbled hastily, was one final warning. If you think this ends here, it doesn't. She folded the note, her hand steady now. Her fear was still there, but something stronger had taken its place, determination. The line wanted her involved? Fine. She was involved. And she wasn't backing down. Because someone needed to uncover the truth. Someone needed to expose them. Someone needed to make sure Margaret Ellison didn't disappear into silence. Hale walked back toward her car, eyes sharp, mind racing. This was only the beginning. And the line had no idea who they were up against. If you think this story was intense, you're not ready for the next one. Hit subscribe so you don't miss it.